identity politics is what it is about, right? This has now become our identity. Is this really what we want to do?
Perfect. Identity Politics League, IPL.
Intro sorted.
TV umpire to director, we have a player review. Can we rock and roll, please?
Welcome back to the Bits and Pieces podcast formed by a group of friends who used to spend all day on a WhatsApp group discussing cricket. It is then quite fitting that we have gone from discussing cricket 24 hours a day to reaching our 24th episode. That's right, we are now the Jack Bauer of cricket podcasts, or at the very least, given the Desi bias in our panel, the Anil Kapoor of cricketing podcasts. As always, we have a bunch of Desi boys to discuss the week that passed in cricket, starting with a veteran of the show, the prodigal grandfather making a long-awaited comeback. Mohan K stayed away from Bits and Pieces through the IPL season, and we are sure it was because he was fully immersed in the cricketing action as it unfolded and didn't have the time for us. Welcome back, Mohan K.
Hey, thank you. Lovely to be back in a place that I actually enjoy a lot. And I must say that I watched the entire IPL season through Bits and Pieces. I didn't watch bits and pieces of the IPL at all. I actually watched nothing of the IPL, but I watched it through the lens of Bits and Pieces. Nice to be back.
As long-time listeners of the podcast would know, most of us caught up with the IPL through this podcast. So,
Indian Pieces League.
Great to have you back, Mohan. From a veteran to a debutant, this man is the official doppelganger of Bangalore. People have pointed out his resemblance to all sorts of people, from Sri Lankan spinner Somachandra Disilva to famous Kannada actor Anant Nag. People go behind random guys at Cubbon Park and Hell and yell, "Hey Udupa!" only to be surprised when they realize that it's not Udupa, but oh, Dupa. But we have the real man on our show today.
Nice.
We have the real man on our show today. Welcome to the podcast, Thejaswi Udupa. Great to have you here.
Hey guys, and it's Shankar Nag and not Anant Nag for the record.
Doppelganger.
Gone. Nitin, surrender your Bangalore passport. Gone.
Yeah, Nitin, see you in Gangotri. The doppelgangers of doppelgangers.
If you surrender your Bangalore passport, you have to move to Whitefield, basically. So, yeah. All right. Remember when Greg Chappell insisted that Sachin Tendulkar would bat only at number 4 in the 2007 World Cup? Well, I feel a bit like that today, doing the intros and relegating the prime opener of Bits and Pieces to the number 4 slot. Welcome to the show, Tony. How does it feel to be batting outside the power play?
Wow, what a too much. Hello. Glad to be here. But I think Mohan K has made the Dinesh Karthik of all comebacks on this podcast. So happy.
Absolutely. Rounding off the panel, it's our man who trains AI models by day and makes trains look like Insta models by night. That's right. The man who compartmentalizes his time between work and compartments. It's Mr. Krtgrphr. Welcome to the show, Karthik. How are you?
Wow, thank you, Nitin. What an amazing intro.
Awesome. Now that the intro is done, I think we can all shut up and go back home to sleep. Or we can do what Mohan K has been waiting to do now for 2.5 to 3 months, is to rant about the IPL. Mohan, the floor is open. Please entertain us.
Oh wow! After that massive introduction, I don't know. I feel a bit numb, and the expectation, the spotlight is completely on me, and the spotlight is on me like you might actually in a Bangalore pond or something like that, which is infested with all sorts of nonsense. But there is a single lotus right in the middle, right, and you want to shine light on it. And I use Bangalore.
No politics, sir. No politics in the podcast, please.
Well, it's going somewhere with the lotus analogy, right? So it's like that. It's you pick one thing which is good and shine the light on it and hype it up to the heavens, whereby the hype is even more important than the game itself. And you start believing the hype, and you start really. Who is it? Miles Davis, I think, said that people will go for anything they don't understand if it's got enough hype, and that's exactly what it is. In fact, if you go back to something else that Miles Davis said, that he said, don't worry about playing lots of notes. Just play one note really, really well. And that's something that the IPL cannot do. And that's my problem with the entire thing. The hype is bigger than what it is. it's a game of cricket that's been distorted so badly that you just don't know what's going on. But, for 2.5 months, people have a lot of fun. I'm not going to stop for 5 minutes, guys, so don't react. I'm just going to continue on unrelentingly.
Mohan, just to say one thing and then you can continue. I think the IPL actually, on the contrary to your notes thing, I think IPL only worries about notes of a particular kind. But anyway.
Oh, we're coming there. We're getting to that point. And the hype is so much. If I can draw a musical analogy, many people who listen to Carnatic music, especially young people, just similarly to young people, will think that cricket was invented by the IPL. Some people who listen to Carnatic music will think that the violin was invented in India. The distortion that the IPL provides in the entire landscape, to me, is just too much. And partly it's because of the hype. The hype is caused by TV and media and all those ads that you guys discussed ad nauseum. And the overdose is just incredibly too much for me. We started with 48 days. It became 56 days. Now it's 74 days. Where's it going to end? 120, 365, who knows? Scope creep is really what it is. The ability to print notes, the ability to just keep making more and more notes. And to me, that's the thing. The entire thing is about the ads, the creepy TV, the loud and vulgarization of cricket. And to me, that to me, it's so bloody loud. Stop it already is what I want to say. And then on top of that, layers of objectification, right? I mean, we started with the objectification of women through cheerleaders, and suddenly 2 males were added in the cheerleader squad. The objectification today has become normalized. So everyone says this is how we will watch cricket. You have normalized objectification.
You realize there are no more cheerleaders, right?
I have no idea. I haven't watched the IPL, man.
He's talking about Sunil Gavaskar.
So no cheerleaders anymore, is it, this year?
It's been away for a while now. I think maybe.
Anyway, CSK in their first season, they just got a bunch of BPO workers as their cheerleaders.
Exactly.
and
The Wild West.
And Anil Kumble and his TCS Lanyard. But the point is not the cheerleaders themselves. It's also the TV personalities that, you roped in just a few women to do boundary line interviews and all that sort of stuff. Who was it that was talking about some of the earlier seasons? But anyway, the entire thing moved from, the vulgarization of cricket and this loud stuff. At the beginning, it was interesting, the pa 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 and all that sort of stuff, right? And we had these songs. Who reminded me of this the other day? And I saw something I can't unsee: Jumping Japak.
Jumping Japak. No, you have to sing it. If you say it, you have to sing it, Mohan. Come on.
No, I can't. I can't unsee that monstrosity, right? Who was it that posted it in our group, the Jumping Japak song? I can't forgive that person ever. Oh, this Jaydeep, right?
How did you miss this when it actually happened? I mean,
I don't know. I think I must have had more brains to actually not see it. And then, of course, you layer on top of it all the confusion. See, when the IPL started, and I'm going back, I'm sounding like an old uncle, which I am. But when the IPL started, right, there was this concept of building a catchment area where teams could invest and grow nurture their people, nurture the future staff. I thought, wow, this is fantastic. It's much like, Manchester United having a club, having a sense of growing capability and growing talent and nurturing talent, having a school where they could work with all that. All that completely went away in the wash. Completely.
Not only out of touch with cricket, you're out of touch with football as well. Do you know what Manchester United is doing?
I think Mohan wanted academies in cricket. Unfortunately, now all the academic companies are in cricket, but no more academies in cricket.
And on top of that, the teams are offering academic courses. So Rajasthan Royals has sports analytics.
Professor Ashwin.
So I just basically want to ask, what is the focus of this thing? Where is it going? What is it doing?
The podcast.
IPL or the podcast?
Exactly. It's providing fodder for this podcast, and that's essentially it. Even nectar is a poison when it's taken in excessive amounts.
Oh my God.
Wow.
proper, very, very nice Hindu type endings.
Yeah, letter to
No,
editor.
we're still going to the Hindu type ending, which starts with the lotus, right? So we go back to the lotus and
You know, bring it back. Beautiful.
bring it back to the lotus. Look, we talk about feeders to capabilities. I'll stop the rant in a minute, I promise. We talk about feeders, right? Syed Mushtaq is the feeder. So that's now completely off TV. Completely off TV. The Ranji was stopped for 2 years, right? But the IPL was played. Where is the feeder? Where is the feeder of cricket, right? You don't stop a tournament like Syed Mushtaq and Ranji.
All bottom feeders.
But and this concept of providing money to players and all that. Well, if you really want to provide money to players, let them play in the BBL as well. That then really means that you're providing money to players through these formats of the game. Why do you stop it? Why do you stop that from happening? You have some really fundamental problems, and to say that capabilities are being developed through the IPL, well, we haven't won a single fucking tournament since the IPL started. Right? So where is this thing going about developing capabilities? It's all rubbish. So, and then finally, when we had Vijay Yadav, who was completely unwell, right? And he needed he needed a lot of money to cure him. Vijay Lokapalli actually ran a crowdfunding program to raise funds for him. Now, if the IPL is about looking after players, it would step in and provide for people like this who do that. And finally, we've been talking about starting a women's IPL for the last 6 years or so. We wouldn't start it. We won't start it because the grubby hands of the politicians are in the game, and we end with the lotus. Thank you very much.
In fact, on that note, Shah Rukh Khan has actually now become the owner of a women's T20 team. Unfortunately, not in the IPL, but the Caribbean Premier League has launched a women's tournament.
Exactly right. Exactly right. So anyway, that was my rant. Thank you very much, guys.
So
Thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
If I had to sum up Mohan's rant, basically he started with Miles Davis, then he went to Carnatic music and violence, and then he ended with the Lotus. So sex and violence, basically. Sex and violence, which is very good for the IPL.
No, actually, Sex, Lies and Videotape will be a nice name for this.
Ooh.
Oh.
Actually, it's thanks for coming to my irritated talk. But we did talk about sex and violence. It's now time to talk about the videotape, which is the whole broadcast rights deal. $6.2 billion overall for the IPL rights. We thought this bubble was about to explode, but it just got bigger, right? And overall, there are about 110 crores rupees worth. Every single game that is going to be played in the IPL is worth about 110 crore rupees, right? Give and take all the digital, international TV rights, etc. How much further is this going to go before this bubble bursts?
Wait, before we answer that, Nitin, can you summarize who finally won what?
Yeah,
because there was
I was about to
A, B, C. It was like solving a fucking algebra problem. I had no idea who actually won what in the end.
And even the
Package B.
Even the news reports are all, very, nobody really knew who had won. Oh, it has gone for so much money, but we still don't know who has won it and all of that.
But Mera Bharat Mahan, that is the underlying statement, right?
Mera Bharat,
Oh, we should come.
Economy Mahan.
We should come to that. We should come to that as well. But quick summary. Star Sports will continue to broadcast the IPL on television. It will not be on Hotstar though. So the digital rights have been backed by Reliance for India. So Woot ostensibly, or a new sports channel, Sports 18 potentially might be launching an app, is what we hear, and that's where you're going to be able to stream the IPL broadly in India. I'm not very sure.
Did you say stream?
Wait, and is that the same as the Viacom option that we were talking about last week on the podcast?
That's right. Yeah. So the Reliance
is the
Viacom,
Yeah.
Woot.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
that's
okay.
right.
Right.
I mean, at least it's not on Sony Live. That much we need to be glad about.
I think people were already writing obituaries for Surya Vamsham reruns.
I was hoping to see Charu Sharma and Mandira Bedi back, if not Gaurav Kapoor and the rest of the clan, right? But
Mohan was just hoping for jumping Japak.
But seriously, guys, I mean, like Star Sports in the last 4-5 years has completely dropped the ball in terms of the production, right? Like there's zero investment in who they bring into the studio, what they do with it. There's like no analysis, not even fun. Like it's like
They brought an eagle into the studio for the IPL final.
This year they dropped the ball so much there were not even that many close matches. Who is writing these scripts?
That's right, but the valuation doesn't seem to be going down, guys. 6.2
I don't
billion,
think it will.
I thought it was already crazy, and it's just got further overheated.
No, the best part about all this for me is that Inside Edge will have at least 3 more seasons.
But well, my worry with this is, and again, I'm wearing my worried uncle hat on over here. We are not seeing the end of the expansion of IPL, because the people who have invested the kind of money into this will want more and more for the revenues that they've invested into this. Already TRPs are down this year and they'll want more, and the only way to do that is to generate more teams, to put in more teams. 74 will easily become 90 days, 100 days, 120 days, whatever. So
In fact, we can speak for ourselves at least, right? Like, there is a match in Bangalore today. India is playing South Africa in the 5th T20 game. So there's funny, interesting, real incident. So a couple of days back, a colleague of mine pinged me saying, "Hey, I want to go to the match in Bangalore. How do I get tickets?" I was like, "What match are you talking about? There's no match in Bangalore." Because my reputation precedes me, so he believed as a cricket fan, I would know how to source tickets for these games. And I was like, "What are you talking about? There is a T20 game in Bangalore." And then I went and booked tickets and told him, "You can also book it on the Paytm Insider." The average cricket fan today actually doesn't know what's happening, right, anymore. He's just tuning in quite mechanically and watching cricket because it's on all the time, literally, right? And not just the IPL. I'm talking about bilateral international cricket as well. The only time this changes is during World Cups. During World Cups, you see that whatever the format is, the entire country comes together and gets interested in cricket. So if the average fan has reached a stage of some sort of apathy towards the sport, and you're in the middle of a global recession right now, right? A tech recession. All the companies that sponsored the IPL and have been investing into the IPL in the last 2 or 3 years, nobody knows whether they will all have any money to put into the IPL next season, right? And yet these numbers, and Star Sports who have said, we have really paid a lot for this, right? And this, I'm talking about the previous right cycle, and they were worried about how do we actually get back the money that we are paying, hand over fist to the BCCI for the IPL. And now you see that spend level has gone up 3x with more companies coming into the fray. It really looks crazy, right? It's like people are just, to go back to that Inside Edge analogy, it's like Vivek Oberoi at the end of that first season. You made a potload of money and then you bet all that money into the next ball. Pretty okay, he's going to hit the next ball or some crazy shit like that. That's what is happening right now in the IPL.
Yeah, but I think we are looking at the wrong average fan. No, we are definitely not the average fan. If you look at even the gate collections for IPL matches, it's always full, and the ticket prices are at least 2 to 3 times of a regular international match. And I don't understand. I mean, we don't understand it, but people are definitely flocking and watching.
Actually, let me caveat that, right? Like, I agree that the gate collections are great. In fact, and I'm glad for that, right? At least in India, you see any game today, including Test cricket, you see that people show up despite the bad facilities, despite the ticket prices being high. I'm talking more about the TV watching fan, right? Cricket is by and large made for TV. I don't see the same level of craze that used to be there. Right? Even 10 years back, I know people who would sit through 6 hours, 7 hours of an ODI game, including myself, and follow it, right? But I just don't see that happening anymore. Right? Even T20s, people tune in and tune out. It's the last few overs.
But see, that's the difference, I think, with the IPL. Because the IPL, I agree that nobody's tuning in particularly for the quality of cricket that's being played or the brand of cricket that's being played. But I think the only thing the IPL has going for itself is it's run for long enough now that it's become a fixture of the Indian calendar. Like, people will mechanically tune in at 7 p.m. or 7:30 p.m. or whenever the hell the game is supposed to be, right? They just sit in front of the TV. It's not like they're being enthralled. The next day, everybody talks about what a shit game it was. I fell asleep in front of the TV on the sofa, whatever, right? But they'll still do it. They'll still tune in. And honestly, I think it doesn't matter if it's a 30-day, 45-day, 70-day, 100-day season, right? People will just do it because it's part of their daily entertainment at this point. It's like Ekta Kapoor, but except with sport, essentially, right? So
no, Karthik, I agree, especially in the times in the COVID times, the lockdown times in 2020 and so on. It was actually quite comforting for people to come back, and there was some constancy to their life but there is something happening in the background. I think the Ekta analogy was spot on. It's just that it's something happening there, which I can relate to. It's there. The world continues as is and all that sort of stuff, right? So what I would have liked an able administrator to do, or a responsible administrator to do, say, cap it and say, we want someone to put up $5 billion, right? That's the cap. That's the upper bound. But we want to see what package of offerings you have that will make us believe that you can actually project the game and protect the game and promote the game in the best way, rather than vulgarly saying the highest bidder will get it. That would be a completely, complete turnaround to the way that we've actually conducted the auction. Does anyone have the balls to do that?
Mohan, you're still thinking of IPL as a sport. You have to remember it's a business first. It's not sport.
Entertainment and business.
Of course. So then the question is, what is your objective? Is this mythical increasing shareholder value? Who is the shareholder? Who is the shareholder in this? If it is the fans, well, exactly right. Exactly. If it is the fans, well, you're treating them like shit. So they're not the shareholder in the game. Who is the shareholder? I agree. If it is treated like a business, you got to ask, is it okay to increase shareholder value? Of course it is. For a business, it is. You corporatize the sport. But who is your shareholder? And who are you increasing the value for?
Yeah,
Which is why
Mohan, just to play devil's advocate for a moment, right? I'm completely on board with everything you're saying, right? But who decides what this mythical good for the game, good for cricket is, right? I mean, it's much easier to point to a bottom line. I'm not saying it's the right thing. I'm not justifying it, right? But it's much easier to point to a bottom line and say, hey, we increased from last time, by $2 billion, right? Look at the bottom line. We have a much larger bid. Hence, everybody is winning, right? Versus if you go into these issues of, okay, we'll cap it, like what you suggested, we'll cap it, but then we'll look at the packages. Now, who is to say, what exactly is good for the development of cricket in India or in the rest of the world, right? That's something even if you set out to do this with the best of intentions, even if you had, 100 Ram Guhas all over India who were trying to do this, right? Who decides what is best for cricket? Is it all test matches? Is it all T20s? What is it?
I don't know. I think it's time to have that conversation is all I'm saying. Where you say enough with the vulgarization of what we have. Let's pull back and see what is enough for the promotion of the game from a financial perspective, what is needed from a promotion of the game from the fans' perspective. I think some of us need to continue to do the klaxon call or whatever it was called you guys used last time. Right?
The trumpet, the IPL trumpet.
The father of this podcast, Sanjay Manjrekar, tweeted, the IPL auction revealing the obvious...
Father of the podcast.
Every episode we produce is like a bastard child anyway, so it's okay, but yeah.
Oh my God. The IPL auction revealing the obvious. The might of the Indian economy. And as Indians, let us be proud of it. Thoughts, guys? Are you proud, guys?
I mean, to be honest, it's a completely off-character tweet for Sanjay Manjrekar, right? I mean, one thing that I like about the guy is that he doesn't really care about the next commentary stint. He says what he wants. Unlike most of the other people who just shill for like the best players ever, right? Like Gavaskar still, if Dhoni comes to the crease, can't stop singing pines about him. But Manjrekar usually, calls a spade, or in his opinion, what a spade is. But this is
a diamond.
Uncharacteristic tweet. Obviously, like factually incorrect, but also very uncharacteristic.
My problem with Manjrekar is not that he calls a spade. He tries to call the spade a garbage truck, and that stretches too far. Right? And that's the problem. Anyway.
He calls a spade whatever he wants to call it, but in like some 100 words instead of one, which is I think Manjrekar's problem.
No, I was going to say that based on that tweet, I'm looking forward to Akshay Kumar playing Sanjay Manjrekar in 3 months' time. But that was the tone of that entire tweet. Like, I agree with Tony. Very uncharacteristic.
Yeah, no man. Like, Akshay Kumar wants more challenging roles. He's going to play the auction.
He's going to play the auction.
Auction itself. Yeah, it's perfect for him.
That's a metaphor.
Don't give this idea to Kamal Hassan. He'll probably do it.
It's a metaphor for Akshay Kumar because he will sell himself to the highest bidder.
In fact, based on what Tony said, I'm looking forward to Sanjay Manjrekar saying, politically incorrect things, getting kicked out of all panels, and finally landing up on this podcast, guys. That would be the perfect.
I think that's his long game, right? It's all 5D chess to end up.
Hey, we're anyway just one step away from Krtgrphr, so he should come here soon.
But the thing is, right, Nitin, he was not the only one that had this Mera Bharat Mahan type response to the auction number. Everyone has made that a sense of India's growth and all that. Everyone is saying India's growth and India's progress and India's everything is pinned on the IPL valuation. Really? Is that where we are going? I have no idea. But so many tweets on, my God, look at this, how big
No,
it
but
is.
that Mohan, that is actually something, going back to what we were discussing, right? That is part of the reason that the IPL has become so embedded in like the yearly psyche of the country, right? The IPL is the one arena, I think, right, where all these fancy India as Vishwaguru, right? Hashtag Vishwaguru. That actually plays out in the IPL because they see all the fancy foreign. I mean, let's be frank on the podcast, right? We don't care about foreign. We care about white cricketers, right? They see all the white cricketers from Australia and England and wherever else, begging to be let in and to play in the IPL. And then they see all the Aussies who famously, when we go to their shows, they're all racist and sledgy and stuff. They come and they supplicate before us and they say nice things about Chennai and about Bangalore, and they're sitting on beanbags and watching third-party games and all that stuff. That is really what people are tuning in for, right? This whole Mera Bharat Mahan crap is, oh, look, we have the goose that lays the golden eggs. All of you have to come and prostrate before it, for 100 days a year. And we know that, and it's basically about flexing your muscle and showing that we can continue to do this.
You all have to prostrate before our prostate.
Everybody's prostate.
And part of that, oh my God. Oh my God. That took the wind out of my sails. But part of that also, to extend it, and it's a very uncomfortable, the elephant in the room, is we will not allow Pakistani players to play in our amazing tournament. Right?
Again, it's not a bug, it's a feature.
Yeah, exactly. It's completely
It's a feature. Brand. It's not a bug. Mohan, it's completely on brand with, exactly what Tony is saying, right? It's part of the whole thing of, look, we will make everybody bow down in front of us, and we have this perverse power to exclude whoever we want to exclude.
Right.
Even if they're the world's best batsmen, bowlers, doesn't matter. They're Pakistani, we'll exclude them. That's it.
Which then goes back to that lotus pond, right? This is exactly why I use that kind of metaphor to anchor the entire disgust that I have with the system over here, right? And there is this perverse pleasure that we derive, exactly as you said, Karthik, that this is what. Identity politics is what it is about, right? This has now become our identity. Is this really what we want to do?
Identity Politics League, IPL.
Intro sorted.
But Mohan, just to quote your favorite Australian Prime Minister, of which I think you've seen 100 in your lifetime.
Quite a few. So which one do you want to quote?
IPL is the suppository of all of modern Indian culture. I think you should give context for
this was Abbott, a former Prime Minister who instead of saying repository used the word suppository of all knowledge.
Wow. Abbott Pharmaceuticals does make very good suppositories though.
Complete non sequitur. Are all Aussie Prime Ministers cricket tragics? Like, is that one of the prerequisites even before you are nominated to be, a leadership candidate for?
Well, the benchmark was set by Major in England, who was major cricket tragic.
He's part of Surrey's management team even now.
Indeed, yes, indeed. So that was the benchmark that Aussie Prime Ministers have tried to aspire for. We had Bob Hawke, who was, but he was a sports tragic anyway. He's not just a cricket tragic, but he did like his sport and his beer and so on, and very, very matey kind of a guy. But since then, John Howard was famously a pretty bad cricket tragic. He famously, you can watch the YouTube video of him trying to bowl in Pakistan. It bounced about 20 times before it reached the batsman. They keep showing it on TV every now and then. And then, subsequent prime ministers have all been, cricket tragics.
Basically, we're saying Anurag Thakur for PM in 2024.
Oh, God.
Any number of people. See, the problem is there are any number of people who are in the politics scene and meddling around.
No, actually, in India, it's the other way around. The only way you can become a cricket administrator is if you are a political tragic. Right? You need to love politics.
Yeah, that's right.
Sharad Pawar. It's the other way around. Talking about tragic politicians, we did a retrospective on Saurav Ganguly tweets last week. And as always, it looked like he stole our thunder because he went and tweeted more nonsense after that in the background of this whole IPL rights issue, right? So he has started now tweeting screenshots. By the way, he types long things. I think 140 characters is not enough for Ganguly nonsense. So he types it on notes or something. He takes a photo, and you have all this, spell check, underline, like the punctuation is all gone. He threads his tweets, but he doesn't really thread them. So it's all very cryptic. Create infrastructure to make the best players in the world. ... The game is a religion in this country. ... My special congratulations to all the players in the last 50 years, administrators when the game had nothing, and above all the fans and supporters who just turn up in numbers in. And that tweet ends. And we go to the next tweet. Stadiums, stadiums and in front of TV sets. ... Congratulations to the BCCI team led by Hemang, KPMG, Srinivas, Argus report, BCCI HOD, and my colleagues J, Arun, Brijesh. So I must point out here. So his punctuation, right? Sometimes the comma is immediately after the word. Sometimes there's a space afterward and then a comma. Sometimes it is just no space, comma, and next word. So my colleagues J, Arun, Brijesh, Jayesh, Mammon, for spending hours to get the auction process right. Congratulations to Star, Viacom, Times Internet for putting their might in getting the auction to new heights. Indian cricket fans, you have made this happen. Guys, you made this happen.
Wait.
So it's
one major doubt. One major doubt is coming very, very badly. In Cycle Gap, what was that HOD?
Yeah, who is the HOD here?
Cycle Gap HOD. I have no idea, guys. I don't know what Argus is either. But the Argus review, the world famous.
You have that format where you say, if you were kidnapped and wanted to let the world know, what would you tweet? It's like
No, with Ganguly you can't. Ganguly can't adhere to that format. If Ganguly gets
everything will be everything will seem like an endorsement. Doesn't matter.
I mean, everything is like this.
Normally crafted tweet that will be
exactly a proper cogent tweet from Ganguly is warning bell.
I really like the way he ends though. He's like, Indian cricket fans, this is all because of you. It's
you
like
made this
the
happen.
blame is on you. This is all your fault. It's because of you that I'm doing all this. It's like, suffer this for another few years.
Psychology.
Right.
But Ganguly is like KL Rahul. He's a gift that keeps giving, I think, at the current point in time.
He is.
Hey, what's the Times Internet thing though? I think we missed...
They got rights for essentially they own Willow, and for US and Europe they got rights.
They've got for other markets, not India.
So Kart, are you happy or?
I mean, I will be happy if somebody makes Tamil commentary available to me no matter what. That's the one thing I don't get in the US. Yeah. Since we're talking about IPL, I should tell you guys this anecdote. So, in the middle of this IPL season, I found myself in India for 2 weeks, like a very short trip. The beginning of it, I tuned into Hotstar just to listen to RJ Balaji and the Tamil crew and so on. And my brother rolled his eyes at me. He's like, what is this? What is this comedy piece? Why are you listening to this commentary? By the time I left, he was hooked onto it. He didn't care about the IPL. My brother is a self-confessed soccer tragic. He's a Chelsea Football Club fan, blah, blah, blah. By the time, he's like, are we watching the match today? I'm like, do you know who's playing? He's like, I don't care. Just tune to the Tamil commentary. I don't care. So that's the
speaking for all of us.
Yeah, this is the treatment that Mohan needs as well. So spend some time.
Maybe, who knows? Who knows? But guys, when all this was happening, the TV rights and all that, we had a Ranji semi-final that was happening. I don't know if you guys followed it.
And Mumbai was back in the final.
Which, by the way, crowds are not allowed.
Just like how... no, crowds are allowed. Incidentally, just like how Nitin's colleague asked him for a ticket for match happening at Chinnaswamy, a colleague of mine asked him, said, no, it doesn't matter, it's free. Because I thought he was referring to the Ranji final that's going to happen in Chinnaswamy on 22nd. Because entry is free for that.
Oh, fantastic. Oh, good. I didn't know it was in Bangalore. Very cool.
Yeah, it is.
It is in Bangalore and it is free. It is free as well.
Yeah, it is free. It is free.
Mumbai and Madhya Pradesh.
Mumbai and Madhya Pradesh in the final, and Yashasvi Jaiswal has struck a hat-trick of centuries, including 2 in the semi-final, and the others. The top 3 is very solid, right, for Mumbai. You have Prithvi Shaw and you have Arman Jafar. They've all been amongst the runs.
Arman Jafar.
This Jaiswal innings was just amazing. He took some 55 balls to get off the mark. He was 0 of 54, and then he happily hits a very fluent century after that.
But the second innings was a proper Gaji play, right? Because they had the first innings lead.
Yeah, really disappointed me because they had a very handy first innings lead and they were going really well. In fact, when they started, Prithvi Shaw was going nuts. Yashasvi was 0 of 55 balls. Prithvi Shaw was on 60 of 20 balls or something. I mean, I'm exaggerating, but he was going berserk. And I thought at that time that they were actually going for a win. And to then see them completely just do the Gaji type innings that Mumbai.
Basically, Prithvi Shaw got out. Rest of the Mumbai batting is pretty much Mumbai batting, right? So the Kadu's top order, so to speak. Actually,
Exactly.
lots of credit to these players. Huh? They've it's what been like 1.5 weeks since the IPL or something, and you had all these guys playing in the IPL, a very different type of play. They've all come in to the Ranji and they batted pretty well.
Except Karnataka, it was so horrible to watch them bat in the quarterfinals.
It's actually fortuitous that we have Udupa on the call today. The biggest learning for me from the Ranji semi-final was I didn't know that there was another ground or I guess on the outskirts of Bangalore, this Alur ground or whatever.
Well, there are 3 of them and the 4th one is in the offing.
Yeah, no, it's very interesting. I was reading up about it after I saw the thing, right? It's not, I mean, they say outskirts of Bangalore, but outskirts of Bangalore is also Bangalore these days. There's no real
everything in Bangalore is in the outskirts of Bangalore.
Outskirts of Bangalore.
Karthik, outskirts of Bangalore is Chennai.
You literally have a stadium bang in the middle of the city, and then you have a stadium at Alur. So Bangalore.
Oh my God.
Isn't it too early for you for this kind of shit, man?
Never, man. The week ends on a Sunday, so this is slog overs.
I think he thinks up all these puns when he's stuck in Bangalore traffic every morning for 90 minutes. He's like, this is where I'm going to put this.
Absolutely right. Yeah, so Tony wanted a segue into makeshift.
I don't really want to.
New Zealand bashing.
Makeshift England wicketkeepers who are going after minnows. But enough about England bashing Netherlands. Let's talk about England bashing New Zealand. Go for it, Tony. What do you have to say about New England's amazing win?
Nothing about New England, man. I'm just glad that New Zealand has been shown up to be the average team that they are finally. Very, very glad that England has pulled off 2 incredible victories.
And the entire English press has written, like pains about the new world, the new order, and how England has turned a new leaf. It's just incredible. All of baseball is what it's all about. But yeah, it's great.
For me, good. The highlight for me, far be it for me to laugh or make fun of someone's bad state of affairs and physically and so on, and I'm not doing that. But the highlight for me was that the pitches were so bad for spinners that Jack Leach went straight into the advertising hoarding and concussed himself. He said, "Mere ko nahi rehna yahan pe." And he said, "No, I'm getting out of this place somehow or the other." He went headfirst into a advertising hoarding.
Poor Jack Leach doesn't know that he needs to play on the substandard pitches of the subcontinent. That's
exactly
where he can make his money. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm glad that after about 45 minutes, we finally started talking about cricket. So glad about that. We already mentioned that.
Set up our one-off test against England. I'm not calling it the 5th test of the previous series because obviously it looks like we'll lose now. So this is clearly we've called it here. It's a one-off test game.
It's a one-off test. Yeah.
No, but the interesting. I don't know if it was interesting. The thing about the Bairstow and Stokes when they were out there at the last day of the test, right? Like the third session, it gave me flashbacks of the World Cup, like the 2019 World Cup, when I don't know for what reason, like because the crowds maybe, because the atmosphere, Stokes was out there, New Zealand, who knows, right?
And you had the overthrows. You had the overthrows.
And the ball hit Stokes' bat also.
I know that also, yeah. But there were a lot of like similarities to like the 2019 World Cup, and it just felt like for that particular day, and I think for that session, it almost felt like this is not a test match that we're seeing. Like it's almost like a one-day game that we're watching. It's pretty incredible.
But 2 amazing wins. I mean, that must be said. I mean, they've just pulled off two spectacular wins.
That Bairstow innings was actually brilliant. He just looked like a different player on that day. He was bashing they kept trying bounces on him, and he kept pulling and hooking peacefully.
Yeah, Bairstow's a dangerous player. Once he gets in, he can completely destroy bowling attacks. But he keeps getting out early also. I think India had him for ducks multiple times, right? In that in the previous series. Let's call it the previous, not in the Ahmedabad.
The previous series.
Ahmedabad, everybody was getting out for ducks. But yes.
I think Sidvi had a nice tweet about it, right? He was like, yet another fourth innings in which somebody got out at 136, but hopefully not
Yes.
heartbreak to follow it.
Just as the country collectively grows up and tries to forget the tragic happenings of the past, you trust Sidvi to remind us of 81 all out, of 136, of all the forgettable things. Jay Surya, something he'll bring back from the past. But yeah, talking about memories that are coming back and about famous England comebacks, and Mohan K has also made a comeback. This man became famous when he pulled off an acrobatic stumping to dismiss Michael Vaughan back in 2003. He then reinvented himself many times. He became a test opener, scored heavily in 2007 in England. He then became an ODI opener and later a specialist middle-order batsman in ODIs. And then he tried his hand as a finisher in T20s, winning an incredible final against Bangladesh. You thought that was the last hurrah, since he went away into the commentary box after that and sat next to Michael Vaughan. But then he's back. And he's back again as a T20 finisher, and he's probably the first name in the Indian World Cup squad. Should Dinesh Karthik stand for Prime Minister, guys?
So every time there's a World Cup, my take on this is every time there's a World Cup, this fellow somehow puts himself into the picture, into the frame. 2019 World Cup, somehow he had to be number 4, right? So the number 4 conundrum was there, and somehow Dinesh Karthik wormed himself into that space.
Somehow
Wormed himself into that space.
And because of him, Ambati Raidu got the flick, and 3D came into the picture, right? 3D. So there is all sorts of stuff that happens around World Cup time. Somehow, miraculously, Dinesh Karthik comes into the picture. That's my take on this.
Basically, there's this stat, right? Dinesh Karthik has won 3 Man of the Match awards in T20 International, that's it. One was this match, one was obviously the Nidahas final, and one was in 2006, the very first T20.
Very first T20 game.
16 years ago.
No, one thing you forgot while talking about various skills that Dinesh Karthik had. I don't know if you remember, there used to be this Hong Kong Sixers tournament. And I think 2010 or 2011, Dinesh Karthik was playing as a specialist bowler. And there was one match against Pakistan where he was our best bowler. He took some 2 wickets in his 1 over, because everybody just bowls 1 over in that. And he took 2 wickets.
Amazing. I didn't know this. Should find the clippings. But Mohan is very right about Dinesh Karthik worming his way into World Cup's squads, right? Go back to 2007, the World Cup in West Indies that is still going on. Dinesh Karthik was at that squad also, by the way. In fact, he's in that very sad photo by which everyone remembers the 2007 World. You have, Tendulkar, Dravid, Ganguly all looking like ghosts in the dressing room as India are losing against Sri Lanka or Bangladesh, and Dinesh Karthik is in that picture. And then the 2007 World T20 that followed. Anybody remember that catch of Graeme Smith that Dinesh Karthik took? Incredible catch. Clearly nobody remembers. I think he was a substitute or again a specialist batsman in that game as well. He played that World Cup. And he missed the 2011 World Cup, unfortunately, but he was back 2013 Champions Trophy. He had centuries in both warm-up games, but for some reason they didn't pick him after that or whatever, or he didn't play. But he was part of the winning squad in the 2013 Champions Trophy as well. And he's back, guys. He's back. He'll play the next World Cup for sure. It's going to be fun.
Dinesh Karthik is basically the Forrest Gump of Indian international cricket. Just keeps showing up at all the historic occasions.
Life is like Golgappas. What is that? Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going for Benjamin Button actually, but never mind.
Okay, so Udupa has some interesting trivia questions to throw to the panel. So, as we all know, Udupa is also a quizzing genius, and we will leverage his skills on this podcast. So, over to you, Udupa. Why don't you stump us?
Late at night, I just picked some random things. All right. So there are only 3 Indians who actually achieved this record in one-day internationals. The last one to achieve it was KL Rahul. The other 2 did it in the same game. And there's a lot of confusion as to who among the other 2 did it first, because that game had no TV coverage and nothing at all. But if you look at Krtgrphr scorecard in detail, you can figure out who did it first and who did it second. So what's this?
Is it a century on ODI debut?
So who are the 2 people?
That only I don't know.
No TV coverage.
Yeah, so the whole no TV coverage is probably the biggest clue.
Yeah.
And in the same game, apparently.
Yes.
In the same game, is it?
Other two people did it in the same.
I thought the first time two Indians scored centuries in the same game was Tendulkar and Sidhu, right, against Pakistan in Sharjah. So this is a bit of a doozy.
It's not. I thought it was Gavaskar. That could have been one of them, but definitely KL.
Gavaskar's only ODI century came pretty late in his ODI career.
In the World Cup, yeah.
87.
No,
You're missing an obvious trick. What kind of cricket match would have no TV coverage?
Oh, Kapil Dev.
No, but that one didn't have two centurions. No, that rules that out immediately.
and it wasn't his debut anyway, right?
Right, exactly. That also.
Oh, this is something
What kind
like
of match?
India played USA or
No, what kind of cricket kind of gets neglected even to this day?
Women's
cricket. Women's cricket.
Oh dear.
That
Udupa, as always, is. We've been shown up. Yes.
So now any names?
This is really bad.
Mithali Raj and
Yeah, Mithali Raj is one of them. In general, when it comes to women's cricket, you can just happily say Mithali Raj.
But Mithali Raj on debut, who else is? I mean,
I know the answer to this. Women's cricket.
Anju Jain.
No. There is Reshma Gandhi.
Reshma Gandhi is the other one. Well done.
the only other name I could have come up with was Belinda Clark.
But Belinda Clark didn't score a century on debut either, I think.
She's just famous for scoring the first double century in ODIs.
Tony is just going for the name he knows.
Correct. general area.
But that's the thing, right? The moment Thejaswi asked that question, Udupa asked that question, we were all thinking of men's cricket only. In fact, isn't Rahul the only Indian batsman that scored a century?
Yeah, that's right.
So
Indian
in men's
man.
cricket, yes, he's the only.
In men's cricket, yeah.
on debut, yeah.
So that was a good one. I got completely thrown by that.
Yeah, and given that Mithali has finally retired, I thought I'll ask something on.
Nice, very nice.
Okay, this is not something that I planned to ask, but since we talked about Dinesh Karthik and everything, so in that same Hong Kong Sixers tournament, given that Dinesh Karthik was playing as a specialist bowler, or was playing as a bowler, he bowled and batted, who was keeping in that match? A current Indian international.
Current Indian international.
Yeah, kind of out of favor with the selectors, but
Riddhiman Saha. IPU.
Saha.
not Riddhiman Saha. Not somebody you think of as a wicket keeper. He essentially was keeping because he couldn't bowl.
Is this KL Rahul?
No, good guess, but not KL Rahul. But you got the right state.
Robin Uthappa.
No, Uthappa and all is
Manish
reasonably
Pandey.
good. Not Manish. Manish Pandey actually bowls quite well. Mayank
Mayank.
Oh.
Yeah, he was keeping in that tournament.
Periscope.
A periscope behind the stumps. It's like a stump camera replaced by a periscope.
But Udupa, you said he's out of favor. He's very much in favor at the current point in time, unfortunately.
He's been dropped for the test squad, no?
Because some injury or something, no?
No injury.
No injury. Okay.
I think
Injury to his ego only.
KL Rahul is to Kaustubh is the same as Mayank Agarwal is to Mohan. It's like
Correct.
Yeah. Those periscope innings defined him, actually.
Is Hong Kong Super Six still happening, or is that shut down?
I mean, it's not
Hong Kong itself is shut down.
So
Hong Kong itself is not happening anymore.
Sixth.
Oh, good questions.
this is an old trivia that I think Mohan will probably jump on first. So
Ageist.
Oh, IPL question,
Okay, go.
If you look at Marquard's typepad, and he used the same typepad all through his career. If you look at Marquard's typepad, what would you find on it?
Steve was name.
It was not a hand-me-down.
As in something that's written on it, or some feature?
Yes. Something that he would maintain a record of on his typepad.
Yeah, wait. I am the best cricketer in my family.
Scores in each innings. Or
You run out of space with centuries is the right. So essentially, every century that he scored, he would put that down on his typepad. So
Oh, you would write the number, the actual score, is it?
yeah, it is in the ground where he scored it and how much he scored.
Yeah, but really a iPad.
He needed to write it down to remember where he scored, whereas a player like McGrath knew every single wicket, even in retirement. 20 years after retirement, he knew the 270th wicket that he had taken and all that sort of stuff.
Magra had all that information up his sleeve, but Marco had it on his thigh.
Speaking of thigh pads, so Joe Root has again, like Marco, been using the same thigh pad all through his career. Who gifted it to him?
Cook?
Not Cook.
Can't be Cook. Someone
I
older
was
than
going to
that.
say, so I was going to say Nasser Hussain.
Not Nasser either.
Not Nasser.
Alex Stewart.
Somebody who played for the same domestic team as
of course.
Yorkshire. Michael Vaughan.
Michael Vaughan is right.
Michael Vaughan.
Also, but
So
You
how
need
do
those
you
keep-
keep track of the fact that these players are using the same thigh pad, man? Like even even Stats Guru doesn't have this data.
Some sort of international repository of thigh pads. It's like Udupa has like tuned it.
No, this quizzing Illuminati. Macha, go to Lodge, ra. The route will walk in. No. Quickly just go near that gate and check whether which thigh pad he's wearing. Tomorrow I have to set question.
But this is a weird fetish in the
Bangalore Quizmasters and Thigh Slap is, I think, a well-known.
I just keep track of what they say in interviews. We just have to take Root at his word.
Amazing.
Please only take him at his word. Don't go any deeper.
Don't root through Joe Root. Anyway, yeah.
Yes. Okay, speaking of Root, what's his jersey number in white ball cricket?
Trick question. He doesn't play white ball cricket.
Whenever he does play white ball cricket, what's his jersey number? Mohan
These are
again.
tough.
Mohan again.
No,
Mohan
no.
again. Given that he's been talking of Miles Davis and people like that should get this.
Yeah, bah.
No. Roots, number and all that. Somewhere you've gone.
49. Because square root.
Root 7. 7 square.
Something to do with music, obviously.
Yeah, something to do with music.
Anibro's birthday.
Using 816.
No. What's his name?
Oh, route. Okay, so it's to do with some sort of a map, road route.
Think of a famous song which features.
Oh, 66.
66.
Yes.
Okay.
Route 66.
Okay.
Oh,
map is
that's a
road,
good
road.
one. That's a good one.
Is that the background to his?
Yeah, it's
number that
apparently
he-
one of his favorite songs, and he
Nice.
thought it's a nice combination with his name. So he always wears 66 when he has to pick
That's
a
pretty
number
cool.
for his.
He's got the lyrics to Route 66 on his thigh pad. He keeps looking at it.
And Michael wanted to say, Sala, why are you scribbling on the thigh pad I gave you?
So all questions except the first one are related to thigh pads because Mayank Agrawal has a periscope looking for his thigh pad.
All right, I think that's enough questions for today.
Good.
That was pretty cool, man. Yeah, thanks a
very
lot.
enjoyable.
All right, guys, we have rambled on. Maybe we should stop. Do you
Yeah,
guys want to
it's a
talk
good
about anything
idea.
else? That's a good idea.
That's a good idea.
I root for that.
66 times.
All right, on that note, we will bring the curtains down on episode 24 of Bits and Pieces. We'll be back next week with 5 Square, i.e. episode number 25, hopefully with a new fresh panel. Say bye, guys.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys. Bye.
Thanks to all our listeners. Please continue to listen to the podcast and let your friends know about us too. And
They've all
this-
gone.
They don't have any friends either because they listen to our podcast.
on that note, bye bye. See you next week.
Bye.